This presentation is intended for students both in curriculum development and assessment and evaluation. As a curriculum developer, you must understand the role that Bloom's taxonomy, in particular the cognitive domain, plays in your construction of learning outcomes. You also need to understand the use of Bloom's taxonomy as you create effective, relevant, and appropriate assessment and evaluation methods. These methods you want to align to Bloom's taxonomy so that you can determine students' understanding at all levels of the cognitive domain. What is a taxonomy? A taxonomy simply means classification. It is an attempt to classify forms and levels of learning. It provides a common language for educators to design and align their curricula with the cognitive learning objectives. It provides an excellent structure for planning, designing, assessing, and evaluating teaching and learning effectiveness. It's a gradual process of building up, moving from one level to the next. It is suggested that one cannot effectively or should not address higher levels until those below have been covered. It provides a basic sequential model for dealing with topics in the curriculum. The use of the taxonomy also suggests a way of categorizing levels of learning in terms of the expected ceiling of a given program. The taxonomy should drive our educational planning, our assessment and evaluation, and our exam preparation. The following is a list of common terms that you will come across as you work with Bloom's taxonomy, creating learning objectives, and preparing assessment and evaluation methods. Common language, sequential, categorizing, prerequisite, lower order thinking, higher order thinking, six-tiered, cognitive, learning objectives, assessment criteria, academic language, conceptual understanding, test bank, balance, complexity, effectiveness, curriculum, and framework. In this course, we will focus on Benjamin Bloom's taxonomy. Who then is Benjamin Bloom? Benjamin Bloom was born on February 21st, 1913. He received his PhD in education from the University of Chicago in March 1942. He became a staff member of the Board of Examinations at the University of Chicago in 1940, where he became University Examiner, a position he held until 1959. Bloom's taxonomy was first presented in 1956 in Benjamin Bloom's book, Taxonomy of Educational Objectives, The Classification of Educational Goals, Handbook 1, Cognitive Domain. It divides educational objectives in three main domains: affective, psychomotor, and cognitive. In this presentation, we will focus on the cognitive. It is a six-tiered approach to the intellectual expectations of the college classroom. Within the taxonomy, learning at higher levels is dependent on having attained the prerequisite at the lower levels. Fenwick and Parsons 2009, in their book The Art of Evaluation, shares Bloom's taxonomy categorizes conceptual development. According to Bloom, there is a logical order to cognitive ability. The higher levels, noted by higher numbers, are understood by Bloom to include each of the lower levels. What is therefore the fuss about higher order thinking? Higher order thinking is lacking in many classrooms. Critical thinking, the ability to use facts and basic ideas and come to an analytical understanding of that fact or that process surrounding the fact. Does it help when all we ask our students to do is recall facts through the use of multiple choice or true and false assessment items? How do we then foster higher order thinking? Number one, we write our learning objectives at all the levels. Number two, we teach at all the levels. And number 3, we assess and evaluate at all the levels. In the cognitive domain, as in the other domains, the levels are thought to build on one another, starting with knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. As you learn lessons well, the highest stages of learning come into play. There should be enough time for building because higher levels of learning have to do with brilliance and proficiency in the subject matter. However, mastery should be built on at every level. If we plan properly, Bloom's 6 levels will be visible in all the areas of our work: our objectives, our scope and sequence, our content complexity, our teaching techniques, our class activities, and the final content of our assessment and evaluation methods. Let's now take a look at each level of the taxonomy, starting with knowledge. Knowledge is remembering of previously learned material. All that is required is the bringing to mind of the appropriate information. All that you need to do is recall, which is of course the lowest level of learning. These are just some of the verbs that are used in writing objectives or test items at the knowledge level. Comprehension. This is defined by the ability to grasp the meaning of the material. This means you are able to translate the material from one form to another. Higher order thinking enables students to state a problem in one's own words. Application refers to the ability to use learned material in new and concrete situations. This may include the application of such things as rules, methods, concepts, principles, laws, and theories. Learning outcomes in this area require a higher level of understanding than those under comprehension. Analysis refers to the ability to break down material into its component parts so that its organizational structure may be understood. Synthesis refers to putting together of the parts to form a new whole. This may involve the production of a unique communication, such as a speech or a research proposal. In the previous level analysis, we broke down the parts. There was a breaking down. In this level, there is a putting together. There is a building. There is a design, a creation, an invention, an arranging, a proposing. Evaluation. This is the ability to judge the value of material or ideas for a given purpose. The judgments, of course, are to be based on definite criteria. The taxonomy will guide you to ensure that your assessment methods cover the various levels of cognitive thinking. It will provide a common framework for thinking about questions and question papers. Simply using the verb does not make the test items good or your assessment and evaluation items perfect. Ensure they relate to the content and specifications.